Hello students, today in this video we are going to learn about quadratic equations. Again, I recall that this is the unit 4th in NCERT class 10 maths. This slide contains the chapter map of quadratic equation. As we can see, the quadratic equation in class 10th, it is divided into two parts. One is the solution or root of a quadratic equation. The second part is the relationship between roots of the quadratic equations and its coefficient. So, in first part, as we can see, in this part contain finding solutions, roots of quadratic equation. So here, earlier there were three methods, as I show you, so that you should know what you don't have to study. So here there is a method 1 is factorization, method 2 earlier it was completing the square, and method 3 is quadratic formula. So in present academic session we will learn about only method 1 and method 3, because CBSE has eliminated this completing the square method. Now, as we can see, the factorization method we know earlier in our classes from class 7 to set 9. In all the classes, we have seen this factorization method we use to factorize the quadratic equation. But the quadratic formula is entirely new. And also, we will know the nature of roots on the basis of this quadratic formula that contain discriminant. In the right hand part, there is a relationship between roots of the quadratic equation and its coefficient, and then formation of quadratic equation by using the sum and product of roots. So here I just want to recall that the problems based on this topic we have already solved in polynomials. So students, now we come to the topic. In earlier slide we have seen the overview of the quadratic equation, means what we have to learn in quadratic equations. So first of all we will get familiar with the standard form of quadratic equation. The quadratic equation is in the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. As you can see on screen, where a is not equal to 0 is called a standard form of quadratic equation. So here a square is not equal to 0. Why? Because if we will make a square is equal to 0, then the equation became the linear equation. Because if the coefficient of x square became 0, the total term x square is 0, then there will be no x square will be there. So if there will be no x square, then the equation became the linear equation. That's why it is important to write here that a is not equal to 0. Student, now we will see the example. Quadratic equation that is in the form of ax square plus bx minus 150 is equal to 0. And one more example is given, 3x square minus 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. These are on the form of quadratic equations. Now students, we will see examples. These examples can be asked in your examination or in your class for small assessment, class assessments. Like these are the basic one, like how a word problem can be converted into quadratic equation. So here we will see examples like how to convert word problems into quadratic equations. These type of question, like only formation of quadratic equation, will come for your class assessment, for 1 mark questions in examination. So we will deal with here 1-2 examples, and obviously I know my students will practice from book the given questions, and then we will discuss the problems in online classes. So first problem is Ali and Sneha together have 30 oranges. Both of them ate 30 oranges each, and the product of the number of oranges they have now is 120. We would like to find out how many oranges they had initially. So students, this question can be dealt like the assumption can be done in two methods. One, as shown in the slide, like they can assume for Ali the number of oranges be x and for Sneha the number of oranges be y, and then the x plus y equal to 30. and then they convert y in the form of x. Other way was, since the sum of the oranges was 30, so if the one person has number of oranges be x, the other will have 30 minus x, and then we will find directly the product and come to the conclusion the equation will be x square minus 30x plus 201 equal to 0. Students, if the question will come in MCQ, then you can write directly the equation, but for 1 mark question where you have to solve, you have to write your assumption, then which quantity you assume for Ali and which for Snake. So students, for second example, as we can see, represent the following situation in the form of quadratic equation. So the problem is the area of a rectangular plot is 428 meters square. The length of the plot is 2 more than twice its breadth. We need to find the length and breadth of the plot. So solution is, we will assume one quantity as x and other we will directly, either we can take y and then convert it into x, or directly we can write like if the length of the breadth of the plot be x, then the length of the plot be 2x plus 2, and we know that area is equal to length. So solution is, let the breadth of the plot be x. In this problem we have directly taken it into one variable, and then the length of the plot will be 2x plus 2, because it was given in a question the length of the plot is 2 more than twice of its breadth. So if the breadth be x, then twice of it will be 2x, and 2x plus 2 will be the length. We know that area of the plot equal to length into breadth. So here we will multiply x into 2x plus 2, and accordingly after calculation we will get x square plus x minus 214 equal to 0 is the required quadratic equation. So student, here we have to very careful about the assumption as well as the small calculations. Okay, in class 10 there are two methods, middle term factorization or factorization method. That is the traditional method we followed from class 8. So second method is quadratic formula, and this is a new one. Here we will introduce with the discriminant in this method. So we will deal with these methods one by one. So here student, with the first slide we will see the example for the roots of quadratic equation by the factorization method. So for the example 1 we will see the question. In example 1 we can see there is a given quadratic equation is 6x square minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. So first of all we will multiply the x square coefficient to the constant. So 6 into 2 became 12. Now we will find out two digits that by multiply it comes 12, and by subtraction or addition it comes 1. So that is very easy. We will find out 4 and 3, two numbers. Here students, we have to very careful while we are choosing numbers. Here as you can see there is a negative sign before coefficient of So here we have taken minus 4x and plus 3x. So we know that in 6 and 4 we have 2x is the common one. So accordingly we will take 2x common, and in bracket we will get 3x minus 2, and then we have taken plus 1, and then in bracket again we get 3x minus 2. Again there is this part is very crucial, because in bracket we should have same quantity in terms of numbers, variables, sign, everything. Because if it is not same, it means there is some mistake in our split part. Our split part is correct if we are getting the same part, like here we are getting 3x minus 2 in same one. Okay, so now 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 1 will be there, and then one by one we will compare both the brackets to 0, and we will get x equal to 2 by 3 and x equal to minus 1 by 2. So these are the required rules. So here we can see by multiplying 6 and 2 we get 12, but students, we are not getting only 12, we are getting minus 12. So accordingly we will choose two numbers. by multiplying those two numbers we will get minus 12, and by addition and subtraction we will get minus 1. Please, when you are choosing the two numbers in which you are splitting that middle term, please take account the sign also. Like, you can't take 4 as plus positive number and 3 as a negative number, then you will have plus x in place of minus x. So here we are taking the larger number negative because the middle term is negative, and one number is negative and one number is positive because the product is negative. Here we can see in second example we have surd in the middle term. So surd is something that some of the students get scared just because of if the decimal is involved in quadratic equation or the surd is involved. So here it's not like that, but it is really very easy when we take a surd, when we are doing addition and subtraction as fixed as coefficient, like we are taking x as fixed, x is not going to change in addition. Similarly, if any third part is there, like under root something 6, 7 is there, it is not going to change. So when we multiply 3 and 2, we will get 6. Okay, please, if you are unable to understand as I am giving the explanation, you can keep a paper and pen with you, and like I am writing the 3 and 2 became 6, you just chalk it out on your paper so that you come to know okay what I am try to explain. So 3 and 2 it became 6. So again I split 2 root 6 into two parts, under root 6 and under root 6. Again we will not forget minus because it is minus 2 root 6. So minus minus became the positive one because the product was positive 6, and root 6 became minus 2 root 6. So similarly here we will take common root 3. We know that in a 3 we know that in a 3 root 3 into root 3 is there. Okay, so root 3x, when it will be taken common in a bracket, it will come root 3x. Then root 6 is comprises of root 3 into root 2. So root 3 will be taken as common and root 2 will be inside the bracket. In the other bracket also we will take root 2 as a common. So inside the bracket root 3x minus root 2x, as we know that root 2 into root 2 became 2. So here again we are looking at in the brackets the same quantity came. So we will take both brackets as same and compare the brackets to 0. We will get the roots are equal roots, that is under root 2 by 3. So students, while you are splitting it, taking common, use your basic concept. See student, this is one of the next example of factorization method. These are two simple questions. In one of the question the x square coefficient is 1 only. So that this kind of problems we were getting in class 8, the basic one, where the x square has coefficient 1 only. And in second problem, as we can see, it will be 2x square. So first we will deal with first problem. In first problem, since x square coefficient is 1, so multiply 10 into 1, it became 10. So now the two numbers we will take, the sum and subtraction or addition will be minus 3 and product of minus 10. Since minus involve both, so obviously here the larger number will be of minus because minus 3 is there, and again minus 10 is there. So it means in product one of the number can be negative. So we will take here larger number as negative. So x square minus 5x plus 2x minus 10. So x will be taken common. So in bracket in both side it will come x minus 5. We will get both the brackets and then we will compare both the brackets to 0. Okay, so one root will be 5 and other root will be minus 2. So here we can see this kind of simple problem can also come in 2 marks. Yeah, so the next problem is here the quadratic equation is 2x square plus x minus 6 is equal to 0. So as we can see, the middle term is the coefficient of the middle term is plus 1, whereas the product of coefficient of x square and constant term is minus 12. So we will choose two numbers plus 4 and minus 3, and then we will proceed it with the calculation part, and we will get the x equal to minus 2 and x equal to 3 by 2. Here student, the roots of the given equation are minus 2 and 3 by 2. This question in the last of the video, again I will deal with all the key parts, like how we can choose two numbers, how we can come to know that the numbers can be added or subtracted, or the number we will take, which number will be positive, which number will be negative. All these aspects of this middle term factorization we will deal in the last of this topic. So please watch this video till last. Now students, see the explanation of that example that we were discussing earlier. The 2x square plus x minus 6 is equal to 0. Please see the screen with same concentration as well, and listen to me also. So here the product of coefficient of x square and constant term is minus 12 and the middle term is plus 1. So we will choose two numbers such that the product of two numbers will be minus 12 and the sum or difference of two numbers will be plus 1. So here we have to taken into consider the two main points. The two main points are, first one is, if the constant term is negative. So we know that in a product, if one number is positive and other number is negative, then the product of those two numbers will always negative. So if the constant term is negative, it means out of two numbers, one number is negative for sure. And if the constant term is positive, then either both the numbers are positive or both the numbers are negative, because we know that minus minus plus and plus plus also plus. The second important point is, now come to middle term. The coefficient of x is either negative, then the larger number is negative, or if the coefficient of x is positive, then the larger number is positive. Okay, now how we can decide in the middle term whether it is subtraction or addition of the numbers, like the number that we have chosen. So for that we have to check the constant term. As we have first discussed, if the constant term is positive, then both the numbers are negative or both the numbers are positive. But if the constant term is negative, then one of the number is negative. Also we come to know, if the constant term is negative, it means there is a subtraction, because both the numbers have different sign, and we know that if both the numbers have different sign, it means there will be a subtraction. So similarly, if the constant term is positive, it means there is an addition. We know that if two numbers have same sign, then the product will be positive, but the process of addition will happen in those numbers. So here in our problem, 2x square plus x minus 6 is equal to 0. We can see the constant term is negative. It means one of the number is negative, the other number is positive, because that's why their product is negative. And also the coefficient of x is positive. It means if both the numbers have different sign, but the larger number has positive sign, so that we can choose two numbers, because the number such that we can choose two numbers that the larger number is of positive sign, whereas the smaller number will have the negative sign. So we will choose 4 and 3. 4 will be positive and 3 will be negative. So accordingly we will continue with the process. Then we will take 2x as common and x plus 2 inside the bracket, and similarly we will take minus 3 as a common, x plus 2 equal to 0. So as we discussed earlier, both the brackets should have same number, same sign, everything. Because if both the brackets are not same or not taken as a common, then it means there is some problem in our calculation and our split or factorization is not correct. So students, we have to be very very careful about, and moreover in maths, practice is the main thing. So as more you practice for the questions, as you have the expertise on the subject. So students, in our next video we are going to study about the quadratic formula, quadratic formula's derivation. Then we will know about the nature of the quadratic equation, whether the roots will be real, equal or not real roots, as well as we will discuss different type of word problems, how we can convert the statement into quadratic equation, and then we are going to solve. So see you in our next video. So thank you, students.